department. We're here today because 3 years ago started off kind of the COVID response with the 15 days to slow the spread, and yet here we are 3 years later, and they are still clinging to some of these failed policies. You've seen things like the vax mandate for foreign travelers. They're doing other things to try to do. But if you look at a lot of the problems that we're facing right now, if you look at the inflation that we've seen, which has been devastating, if you look at the spike in interest rates, which has had a huge impact on businesses and on home purchasing, if you look at even what's going on with these banks and this banking issue, those banks were operating with zero interest rates. They were doing bonds with relatively low yield, but at the time was good because the interest rates were zero. And then they've now got caught because the rates are spiking and those investments are no longer good investments. You look at our workforce, and look, Florida has bucked this in many respects, but the workforce in the United States, once the policies went into effect, once all the spending started happening, many people just dropped out of the workforce because of the perverse incentives that were done, where you're basically paying people to drop out of the workforce effectively. And how do you get them back? Some have come back, but not all, not even close. We've seen major supply chain problems over the last 3 years. We've seen huge problems with mental health over the last 3 years, especially in states that lock the kids out of school for so long. That is not the way you treat young people. And of course, Florida is an exception, but you've seen historic education declines in terms of the education performance. And so, we're here looking at this, 3 years out. It's just important to say the experts that designed these policies and that were hectoring everybody, they were wrong about almost everything. They were wrong about lockdowns. I mean, you remember they said that would be what you needed to do to stop COVID, and states like Florida that got people back open, we were attacked mercilessly because we were doing that. And yet we see those policies, the lockdown policies, did not work. And they were destructive, particularly in these states that clung to them for time immemorial. School closures, that was supposed to be something that would stop spread or limit it, but in reality it had very minimal impact on that, but it had a huge negative impact on the well-being of our youth. And in Florida, of course, we went a different way on that, but those school closures were bad. And I remember April of 2020, I was like, I don't know that remote school is going to work. I think we may need to get, and oh my gosh, like the torrent of abuse we got for that. But in reality, I mean, you had to weigh what are you doing in terms of the policy versus, what are you losing out on by having the kids